The rapid spread of COVID-19 has created an unprecedented global health, economic and geopolitical crisis. In New Zealand, lockdown was a time of reflection on how we do things, what actually matters and doesn't, and what a better future might look like.
I think we can have social, economic and sustainable outcomes flow out of this crisis that are more positive than what we've had before. So I think that there are real opportunities in rethinking a little bit on what makes a good life in New Zealand and what makes a good life in general, and that we can push towards that and do lots of good things on the way.
Wellbeing is central to the New Zealand COVID-19 pandemic recovery response. We undertook 50 semi-structured interviews across New Zealand to explore how people coped, adapted and responded to the diversity of impacts and what that meant for their continued wellbeing. Understanding what the New Zealand public wants to retain, transform and leave behind after the pandemic is important in underpinning science advice to government and policy development. Most people were very supportive of how the government responded with a science-based approach.
I think the response has been absolutely outstanding from the government and those involved.
Central to this support was the government's communications. Participants spoke of it installing confidence and trust in the government and that it contributed to their sense of well-being.
I thought the communication was really good, to be honest. I don't think anybody could have done better. I think it was calm, it was factual, it was honest, empathetic, as clear as can be, given what we were dealing with. So, yeah, I think it was good.
People liked hearing directly from the scientists. They wanted this approach adopted and expanded into other areas.
Science has been communicated really well, is my first thought, and I wish other science was taken as seriously.
An overarching theme from our research was that New Zealand's post-COVID-19 response was seen as an opportunity to initiate significant societal change. Participants saw it as an opportunity, not to build back or to return to normal, but to build a better society that was more socially, environmentally and economically sustainable and equitable.
I was really disappointed in that national messaging, that we all want to get back to normal as quickly as possible, and I just felt like I didn't want to get back to normal at all. I had thought it was a real opportunity for significant change.
If we could do it for COVID-19, then what kind of response could we make to poverty in New Zealand? What kind of response could we make towards sustainable living and climate change? What kind of response could we make towards housing people in a more equitable society, in a way that would really improve people's quality of life and relationships?
People talked about a wide range of issues and concerns that affected their well-being and the well-being of New Zealand. There was a strong focus on societal well-being, or living well together. People talked about their own well-being, but it was often in the context of broader societal well-being, i.e., when society does well, we do well as individuals. The science-based approach the New Zealand government has taken in their response was widely appreciated by the New Zealand public. It put New Zealanders' health and well-being at the forefront of the pandemic response, and this was something many reflected on.
Everyone's response has really put people first over the economy, and I think that makes us feel valued and important and like we actually matter in the country.
Trust in the New Zealand government is high following COVID, but building and maintaining trust is a long-term, continuous process. It requires a social licence to operate. Manaaki Whenua Landcare Research has developed a framework that helps organisations understand the practices and principles that underpin trust and legitimacy and guide them in gaining and maintaining a social licence to operate. If the New Zealand Government and its agencies want to retain public support for and trust in their policies and interventions post-COVID-19, they need to proactively build and manage their social licence to operate. This requires first understanding what the New Zealand public wants to retain, transform and then leave behind after the pandemic, and then integrating it into the government's post-COVID-19 processes and practices. Such a process will require a collaborative approach with New Zealand's citizens, an approach that encourages participation and empowerment. A key point from our research is that people want to be a part of that process.
So yeah, maybe there's some collective thought around the kind of society that we want to create moving forward and how we can do that together.